I'm 79 years old, and it took me most of my life to understand that I mistook being needed for being loved. It sounds like a small confusion, harmless even, but it shaped every decision I made, every hour I gave away, every person I thought would never leave me.
At my age, you start counting things differently. Not years ahead, but people behind you. Who's still here? Who isn't? Who remembers you? And why? I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I've had a long life, a decent one by most standards, a steady job, a marriage that lasted 42 years, 2 children who grew up and did well enough, a house that's paid off, a few old photographs in frames that gather more dust than attention now. From the outside, it looks solid. But when the house gets quiet at night and there's no one calling out from another room, you start to hear the truth more clearly. I grew up believing that love was proven by usefulness. My father worked himself into an early grave. He was the kind of man who never sat down while others were standing. If something was broken, he fixed it. If someone needed help, he went. He didn't say, "I love you." He showed up with a wrench or a paycheck. My mother used to say, "Your father's love is in his hands." I believed that. I admired it. So when I became a man, I followed the same path. I thought that if I made myself indispensable, no one would ever leave. In my 20s, I married a woman named Carol. She had a quiet laugh and a way of listening that made you feel seen. I loved her, I really did, but I didn't know how to sit still in that love. I worked at an accounting firm then, long hours. I told myself I was building something for us, security, stability, a future. When Carol got pregnant with our first child, I took on extra clients, nights, weekends. I missed the first doctor's appointment, then another. I told myself there would be more. There's always more time when you're young. When our son was born, I held him in the hospital for a few minutes before my phone buzzed, a client emergency. I stepped into the hallway. I remember the fluorescent lights, the way my voice echoed slightly off the tile. I thought I was doing the right thing, providing, handling things, being needed. At home, I fixed leaky faucets. I mowed the lawn before Carol asked. I balanced every bill down to the penny. I made sure there was always enough. What I didn't notice was how often Carol stopped asking me to sit with her. She'd say, "Do you want to watch something tonight?" And I'd answer, "I just need to finish this one thing." There was always one thing. I was proud of how much everyone depended on me, my boss, my clients, my wife, eventually my kids. When my daughter struggled with math, I took over her homework. When my son forgot a project, I drove it to school. When Carol felt overwhelmed, I told her I'd handle it. I handled everything. And for a long time, that felt like love. They needed me. That meant I mattered. But being needed is loud. It's urgent. It makes you feel important. Love is quieter. It doesn't always knock. I didn't see the difference. In my 40s, my career was at its peak. I had my own small firm by then, employees who relied on me, clients who called me at home. I liked that. I liked being the solution. At my son's graduation, I sat in the bleachers with one eye on the stage and one eye on my phone. I remember clapping at the wrong name because I was reading an email. He never said anything about it. My daughter once asked me to come to a school play. I promised I would. Something came up at work. I told myself she'd understand. I was doing this for her after all. Later that night, I found the program on the kitchen counter, my name written on the back in her handwriting, reserved for Dad. I told myself there would be another play. The costs didn't arrive all at once. They came in small, almost invisible deductions. Carol stopped asking me to talk about her day. She started calling her sister instead. My son learned to fix things around the house without me. My daughter stopped bringing me her problems. I didn't notice at first. I was busy, needed. Then, one evening, when I was about 52, Carol said something I still hear clearly. She said, "I don't need you to solve everything. I just need you to sit with me sometimes." I remember feeling confused, defensive even. I thought, "I do everything for you." I couldn't understand why that wasn't enough. We never had a dramatic fight. No slammed doors, no broken plates, just distance. The children left for college. The house grew quieter. I assumed Carol and I would fill the space together, but by then we didn't know how. We'd sit at the dinner table and talk about errands, weather, bills, safe things. I tried to fix that too. I planned a vacation, booked a hotel by the sea, organized every detail. On the second night, she stood by the balcony and said, "You're still somewhere else, even when you're right here." I didn't have an answer. A few years later, she got sick. Nothing dramatic at first. Fatigue, a cough that lingered. Doctor visits replaced client meetings on my calendar. I handled the insurance forms, the medications, the schedules. I was very efficient. In the hospital, I adjusted her pillows, spoke to nurses, took notes, made lists. One afternoon, she looked at me and said very softly, "Can you just hold my hand, not as the man who fixes things, just as my husband?" I did. But I realized I didn't know how to be there without doing something. She died on a Tuesday morning in early spring. The trees outside the hospital window were just starting to turn green. After the funeral, people told me what a devoted husband I had been, how I was always there, how strong I was. They meant well, but the house felt hollow in a way I couldn't repair. For the first time in my life, no one needed me urgently. The kids had their own families, their own routines. They called, but not often. I had built my identity around being essential. Without that, I didn't know who I was. I started noticing things then, old moments replaying with a different light. The program from my daughter's play, the graduation ceremony, Carol's quiet invitations to sit beside her. All the times I chose usefulness over presence. I confused dependency with connection. Being needed kept me busy, it kept me central, it gave me a role. But love doesn't always need you. Sometimes it just wants you. There's a difference. Now at 79, I live alone in the same house. The lawn is smaller than I remember, or maybe I am. My hands shake when I hold a cup of coffee. I don't fix as much anymore. I hire someone to repair what breaks. The children visit on holidays. They are kind, respectful. They thank me for everything I did for them. But there are stories they tell of their childhood that I'm not in. Memories of their mother reading to them, of school plays, of long talks in the kitchen late at night. I provided the kitchen, I paid for the lights, but I wasn't always at the table. That's the part that stays with me. You can't go back and sit in a chair you left empty 20 years ago. You can't rewind a child's performance or a quiet evening your wife offered you like a gift. Time doesn't bargain. If I could speak to the younger version of myself, I wouldn't tell him to work less. Work is honest. Providing matters. I would tell him that being needed feels powerful, but it can be a trap. People grow, children learn, wives adapt. One day they don't need you the same way anymore, and if all you've built is usefulness, you might find there's nothing left to hold. Love is smaller moments. It's sitting down when there's nothing to fix. It's listening without preparing an answer. It's staying in the room even when your phone buzzes. I didn't understand that then. I thought love had to earn its place through effort. Now I know it sometimes just waits quietly, hoping you'll notice. I'm not bitter. I had good years, real laughter, warm Christmas mornings, Carol's hand in mine on certain nights when I did manage to slow down. I hold on to those, but I also carry the weight of what I missed. At this age, you don't get the luxury of pretending there's endless time. The days feel shorter, the mirror feels honest. If you're listening to this and you're younger than I am, I won't tell you what you